thank you for participating. So, if my calculations are correct, we're about the same age and we got married about a month apart. So,
Oh, wow.
so were you born in 1973?
Yes.
I wonder if you'd like to weigh in on the dating options you had before you found your partner.
Oh, oh my gosh. I just think, you know, dating was, I was just horrible. I hated the whole experience. I hated the whole online stuff. And there's a guy I met and he was diabetic and he was real smart. He was a teacher and I think he went to like Harvard or Yale, one of them. But I just felt like he was a mess. Like he had crazy spending habits. He drank about a bottle a day, even though he was diabetic.
Oh my God.
But I was trying to give him a chance, but like all that was bothering me, and we dated for a couple of months. Um, and then I just, decided that like, he just has codependent kind of behaviors, and this just really isn't healthy. And then I felt guilty because I had just I had someone had broke, my first love had like broken up with me. I'd had a really serious relationship and I was feeling the guilt of doing that to somebody else, like,
Right.
inflicting pain on somebody else. And so when I did kind of like try to end things, I went over to his place like in person. I was trying to like be good about it all. And he turned on me on a dime and like I felt unsafe at that point. And so I was saying, like he was trying to intimidate me not to do it and almost like in a threatening way. And so I was just kind of like, okay, let me just get out of this situation. Um, and so I was like, I'll think, okay, yeah, I'll think about it. And then I got out and I was so glad that I did. But then from then on, like he was almost like stalking me. He was calling me. I had to get like the police on the phone because I was like fearful that he was just going to come over.
Hmm.
Um, so I had like all of that I was dealing with. And from that point, I was kind of, after that experience, all the other dating stuff, I was just like, I don't need this. Like, fine. If I'm going to be single, that's great. Like, I don't need somebody who ends up being like crazy in my life. I'd rather just be alone. And I think I just ended up having that attitude. Um, and then I, ended up dating Mark like later in the fall. I think it was like, I was dating three guys. Like, so then after that, I was like, after I adopted that attitude, I ended up having three guys kind of like vying for me. And I was like not interested in committing to like anyone. I just wanted to kind of like, this is great. You're all different.
Hmm.
If I could put you all together, then that would be like great. If I could take different pieces of you, but I can't. So I just don't want to commit to you.
Right.
But I ended I ended up because all of them were kind of like pressuring, or at least like two of them were pressuring me. One was Mark. So then I just ended up kind of dating Mark more exclusively
Hmm.
from that point. And, but and it was all great. He just had his own sort of demons, and that's why it took like 8 years for us to get married because he never had a good example of a marriage in his life, and he just didn't believe in it and thought like as soon as we got married it would just go downhill, and he didn't want to feel like in a relationship. So you end up I don't know if you feel this way, but I kind of am a big believer is you sort of end up with people who in a relationship who can help you kind of work through those issues that are kind of your issues. You both kind of have those similar sort of wounds that you can kind of either choose to let it just kind of destroy you a little bit more, or if you're recognizing them, you can work together to kind of try to heal from that.
Hmm.
That's my belief anyway.
And did he have an opinion about no children when you were dating?
He kind of he would have been fine either way. Like in many respects, he, with his parent issues too, like I think that he doesn't want to have a similar situation where, he was inflicting anything on another being, um, and passing along kind of similar issues. So I think he would have been fine either way. He would have been, um, a good father after. I think babies probably no, but like toddlers, someone he could interact with, he would have been good. But dealing with a baby, no, like he's not. I don't think he would have been good with a baby either.
I think my husband would have been great too, but he felt that he just didn't have the energy. We got married, he was 43, I was 41.
Wow, yeah,
And for a few years there, I'd have my oh no, I haven't had a period for 2 months moments, but they always coincided with some other stress. It always coincided with a heat wave or a shock of, my personal life or so I
do you
was
regret it now though?
what, not having a baby?
Yeah.
Um, I don't because I never had we had some strikes against us physically, and we would have had
Uh-huh.
to go through very expensive treatments to even have a chance to get pregnant. And when you
Okay.
live in a place like LA, you don't have an extra 10 grand to spend on
Sure.
conceiving a child that you can therefore then not afford. I'm just telling the truth.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's another factor too. The people who have kids. I mean, I don't know how they really afford it. It is when I hear about like daycare, the expenses. I mean, that's another more. It's a second mortgage.
Right. If you're lucky enough to
It's
have bought a
crazy.
house that you can afford, one
I
mortgage.
know, absolutely. It's true. But yeah, they're like not saving anything. They are just living for their kids. Those are the people that really, and that's great. They really, and they're great parents, and they really wanted kids, and they have the life that they want. I think that I would have felt like I was missing out on so many, like I wouldn't have been able to do the travel that I've done. And I
Mhm.
know it's count like I feel kind of selfish in that respect, like wanting to just do like enjoy. I think the only regret that I have, and this is not a reason to have kids, is that no one's going to really care when I die.
Mhm.
Not necessarily that that's a guarantee if you have kids that they'll care when you die, but there's positives and negatives, I guess, to every decision that you make. But
And you really
yeah, I
just
can't
need,
imagine my life.
I mean, you really just have to have someone who's on the payroll to deal with your estate when you die. And hopefully you'll
Yeah,
have a niece or a nephew or multiples that can, inherit something if you've if you've done that well. I was interviewing someone I worked with in the old days when we were in our 20s and she kept using the word selfish and I was like, "Can you please use a different word to describe your decision-making process?" And she used the word realistic because she recognized even at a young age that she was tired at the end of her workday, which is perfectly normal. Workdays can be exhausting. And if you don't feel like you have huge earning potential and or your spouse, then where's that money going to come from? If you're going to be privileged enough to stay at home, which very few people are able to do in our generation and the
yep.
ones that come after. Our call abruptly ended because of an internet problem, but she did write to follow up on one more topic: workplace inflexibility. She wrote, "A tangent topic to all this that I wish someone would address are the work flexibilities given to people who are parents versus non parents. It's discrimination in some fashion. My free time is no less important just because I don't have a child to pick up or stay home with. She added, I have a colleague able to work a 4-day work week as a part time employee because of kids. I would love that opportunity.